Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's May 1st. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and believe it or not, we're starting another month. Of course, I was gone a good bit of last month towards the end there, so probably felt a little quicker to me than maybe it did the rest of you, but we're already starting May. Believe it or not, this year's we'll be halfway through this year before you can blink an eye. Seemed like we were just turning the corner of January 24. But anyway, somebody pointed out today, I think on the mid-morning chart, I posted the wrong daily chart. I'm not sure how I did that, but I'll try to get it right tomorrow. But I did go back and look, and it did look like I posted yesterday's chart again today for the daily chart. I had the 2000 tick chart correct, but somehow I posted the wrong daily chart. So I'll make sure tomorrow I get that correct. But anyway, uh, crazy day. Started off just like you would expect on FOMC, kind of a tight range till that news comes out. And then we rallied really strong off the news all the way up to these highs. And then suddenly the market turned and it took it all back just about as quick as it got it, and then some. And we ended up closing lower here. So kind of a wild ride today. You had to be really patient. There wasn't much. A lot of times on these FOMC days, you might just take the morning off. It's not always that way, but most of the time, there's just not much going on. People are just sitting around waiting on the news. They're not going to get too involved in the trading until then, and you just don't get a lot of opportunities. So there were maybe one or two trades before the news, but not much. So most of the trades that came today came after the FOMC announcement. And it was as expected. No change. They didn't lower rates, but they didn't raise them. So no real surprises. I think everybody was pretty much expecting them to keep them steady. And so I just don't see how they're going to be able to lower them anytime soon. So anyway, it is what it is. Crazy day, but we may be headed for a measured move down here. We'll have to see. Um, but so far, what looked like we were going to rally today has turned lower again, and we closed and made a new low again today. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart, take a look at it, and go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. And here it is. You can see that early range. We had the 715 non-farm employment change, and then we had an 8:45 and a 9 a.m. It was manufacturing PMI type news, including jobs, job openings, and so that pretty much took up a big chunk of from about 8:30 to just after 9 o'clock. And then of course the big one here, be flat by noontime Central Standard Time, and wait till the volatility kind of slows before you get back in the market. But so that was this block here, and then you can see there's not many trades early here, but we did get a few later in the afternoon into 2 o'clock, and then most of this sell-off came after 2:30. So I don't recommend trading after 2:30 if you haven't heard me say that before, just simply because you don't have a lot of time left in the day, and if you make a mistake, you're probably stuck with it. And if you have a loss or make a mistake early in the day, you can make it back. But if it happens after 2:30, you're probably in big trouble. And generally, the market, everybody starts to exit just at 3 o'clock, which would be 1500, and wasn't much going on. You can see not much happened after, very little volume, if anything, after 3 o'clock. That last hour is just pretty much people's. I don't know what's going on after 3 o'clock, but usually it's not much happening. So 2:30 is always been my cutoff time, because that gives you time to get. Now, if you're already in a trade, I'm not saying you got to exit it at 2:30, but just be monitor it closely, and if the market's moving and you've got a runner and it's still going, let it go. I'm not saying exit. Just don't start any new trades or enter any new trades after 2:30. But here we go. We're back in it here. 7 o'clock came down here. It's just too congested. We got another move up again, just too congested. And then it took us into the news here. Notice we did get a new low right here, and then a first entry, second entry, and you pretty much can call that a triple, quadruple, whatever test right there with a nice signal bar. That's a no-brainer. And that was an easy trade right out of the gate that you could have got around 9 o'clock. And then we pretty much made a triple test at the bottom with another second entry long, decent signal bar, and it was fairly simple too. Both of them were just, I mean, they only lasted a few moments and ran several points. And then we just start chopping around in here in this range again. It finally broke out, but it failed pretty quickly. And then we're just chopping up and down, waiting on that news to come out. And it's just probably small traders, fighting it out in here. And then you got to be flat. And this was the news item. 1 o'clock came right in here, and you see it. It jumps up, down. I mean, the market doesn't know what to do. And I would say by here you could realize that it's not going to do anything too crazy and start trading. But the first trade I saw, we have this run up. You get a close outside, and it makes a double top way away from the EMA. Decent signal bar. Let me zoom in where we can see this one a little better. I like going short there. It's a second entry short. This is a double bottom, so first entry, second entry. Just being a double top with this channel playing out the close outside and move to a new high with a double test of it. And that, again, that's a really nice move down, and that might be all you needed for the day. You probably get a runner there. Bounces down here. Runs up. I don't see any chance to really get long here. I don't see anything I like on the long side. But it comes back up here, and you get a couple more tests. I would have said, I'm not sure. Actually, that makes it a little lower high. So this is your signal bar. Always understand that the signal bar will make the lowest point in the swing high, or I'm sorry, the highest point in the swing high or the lowest point in the swing low. So this is your signal bar. It's the only bar you can enter on. You can't wait and enter here if you like it, or enter here if you like it. You have to enter on the signal bar. And people ask me, well, how do you know it's going to be the signal bar? Well, as you get experience and you learn how to do this, you'll start to be able to pick out the signal bars. And generally there will be trend bars in your direction. Like right here, this is a very bearish bar in the direction short. So I like it being that far away from the EMA. I like that. Not because of this channel. That's the reason I didn't like entering earlier, because you still have this channel going on. But when you tested it 2 more times, and now you've got a 1, 2, 3 quadruple test and another big bearish bar that far away from the EMA, I like going short. Basically, just went into another little range here. I didn't draw it, but you could draw a range here. It comes on over to that side. Oops. But you can pretty much see that range. I'll go ahead and put it on here just so. But you can see that pink range there, and you can see the midline's fitting perfectly on it. And I did not mark this one simply because we're still in this range. It's the first close outside, so it could test it again. This thing just kind of takes off. I think I talked about those two. And here we go, and it finally takes off to the upside. This is a strong trend. Recognize this. Really, even by here, you might recognize this is a strong trend, and that would mean you could take any signal bar that comes back, pretty much for the most part, that comes back and gives you a good signal bar. The only one that wouldn't have worked was here, and you got clues here because we couldn't get back to the upper side. You see it losing steam, so that means we're probably going to get a break. And then you get a second entry here. And I actually like entering this on the engulfing bar, big bearish bar with a full body almost. I like going long there. If you wait till this closes, you don't have a lot of room. You probably don't have enough room anyway, but because it's a strong trend, I think you could justify. No, there's plenty of room on that. There's 2 1/4 points. If you waited till here, yeah, so you come up a tick short there. So I'm not as crazy about entering it there as I am on the engulfing bar. But this was a really strong trend, so you may enter there anyway. It's a second entry long. The second entry triggered when it broke above this bar. And of course it runs a couple of legs up to a new high, and then you get a two-legged correction. Unfortunately, you don't get an enter down here on the second entry, but it does give you a first entry short, second entry short, and this makes a new high. So first entry, second entry, when it breaks above that bar, it's a second entry long. And you're expecting prices. A lot of times you'll get a break and two legs up to a new high, but this also was a two-legged correction. Sometimes that's the center of the pattern. So you might get another measured move all the way up equal to this first leg. And with a rally that strong, it's a very strong possibility. So you want to try to get in this if you can. Unfortunately, the second leg doesn't last too long, and then we start working sideways. And quickly we get a triple test here with a nice signal bar. I like going long there. No shorts ever set up on this. Finally breaks out. It looked like you might get a little setup here to go short, but when this bar ends up like this, I just sit tight on it. I'm pretty sure that made equal lows. If it broke lower, you could take that trade, but I'm pretty sure it made an equal low. Let me just verify that before I'm 22 1/4. Yeah, 22 1/4. So because this didn't break lower here, it just looks too congested now. So you just have to sit tight. Now, if that would have broke lower on this, broke below this bar, which is your signal bar, notice it makes the high. If prices would have broke lower right there, you could take that trade. But because they didn't, just sit tight. See if you get a lower high, which you do, but its prices have moved way too far here to really consider that a lower high. We bounce down here again, but don't get a signal bar this time. And then notice here we try to go higher once, twice, 3 times, and it broke higher and failed and turned down. Again, I like entering that on the engulfing bar. I would not go short below. There's too much stem there when that closes. But if you enter it on the engulfing bar, I like that one. Comes back again here, and you get a close outside and a new high, but not a good enough signal bar. The lower high is no good. But notice what happens here. Finally, you get we're not really looking for second entries, but you get a signal bar right off the resistance again when you're making lower highs and lower. Notice how you're making lower highs there, and pretty much lower lows too, except for this one. So that sets up, but it's also a second entry short. We're not looking for second entries in a tight range like this, but if you get a setup and it's also a second entry, pay attention to it. But there it is, and boom, it drops real quick. But really, what I liked about this one was we tried to go higher. I'd call this a double top. We tried to go higher once, twice. And it's also a first entry, second entry short. It's a very nice signal bar right off the highs of the range there. Yeah, I like that trade. And of course, we end up getting a little channel here with a break and new low, and then it reverses. Now you're working higher. I don't see any way to enter short or long on either one of those. And that takes you into 230 there. So we got a few trades in the afternoon. Not much in the morning, but that's typical for an FOMC day like this. There's another big look at it, wider view look at it, and you can see the big rally we had here, and then the big sell-off to take it all back again. So wild and crazy day. FOMC days usually are. I'll say it again just to make sure everybody hears it. On FOMC announcements, always be flat an hour going into that report. That report comes out. My time is, I'm on Central Standard Time. That report comes out at 1 p.m. my time. So that would be 2 p.m. Eastern if you're on Eastern Time. And if you're on any other time, you just have to do the math, figure out the time differences. But it comes out at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Be flat by noon Central Standard Time. And wait for the volatility to slow down after the news, and when it does, then you can start trading again. And you can see we had some pretty good moves and some pretty good setups after that, after the news kind of settled down. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again tomorrow and going to wrap up a week. Believe it or not, I've been back. After tomorrow, I've been back a whole week. Man, time flies. Seemed like I just got back yesterday. But I've been so busy catching up, and I'm pretty much close to being caught up. So appreciate you holding on your emails. I know it's helpful to me, so I appreciate it. And we'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. So anyway, not much else I can say about today, so I'll wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.